And here are the other reports. Union leader publisher of another dying newspaper. Ron Paul, truly dangerous. No, people like you that have gone along with the global crime syndicate and gone along with all the lies and the tyranny and given it an air of respectability, you are the people that are truly dangerous. Those of us that can face the true horror of what all you yes men have helped create, nodding to whatever the greatest evil is, you are the people that are dangerous. And I'll have to get to this later after our guest is on with us. But, I mean, here is this article out of the New York Times. And it's the new talking point that not only is Ron Paul racist, because out of tens of thousands of newsletters, there were 4 or 5 examples in promo ads that were sent out, that were, I guess you could say, mildly racist or something. Which, even though you have speeches of Ron Paul back at the time praising Martin Luther King and people, and he is who he is, let's just ignore that and always chirp about race all day. And when Obama, increases funding to forcibly abort black Africans, and that's loving and trendy, because after all, he's supposedly black. So again, it's all about ninnying and obsessing over things. They say the real issue is, he said on C-SPAN, there was a new world order. Doesn't matter that literally we have books and globalist documents and statements about a new world order being a global corporate fascist system, now openly running Europe and bankrupting the U.S. to bring in the same system. They just come out and tell the readers of the New York Times with total disdain for them, talking to them like they're mentally handicapped 3-year-olds and telling them this doesn't exist. And then they get into attacking Alex Jones. And they say Ron Paul did say there's a plan to set up a global government, and that the Rockefeller family's involved. Oh my goody gumdrops! The Rockefeller 5 years ago published his memoir on page 400 and something. We've shown it many times here. He said, yeah, there are people that say we want to get rid of sovereignty and set up a world government. Well, I say guilty as charged. But see, they count on you not reading that. And where Rockefeller thanks the media for helping to suppress this, saying we couldn't have done this without you in the last 50 years suppressing it. I mean, they invite the New York Times editor and Washington Post to Bilderberg and pat them on the head and say, you're a good little deceiver. Good job. And they go on to attack him, and then they say, Paul knows where his bread is buttered. He regularly appears on the radio program of Alex Jones, a vocal 9/11 and New World Order conspiracy theorist. Oh, I'm a critical thinker, actually read globalist documents, in his home state of Texas. On Jones' show earlier this month, Paul alleged the Iranian plot, that was on hundreds of different channels, I mean, mainline TV said that, to kill the Saudi ambassador of the United States soil was a propaganda stunt perpetrated by the Obama administration. And then they linked to Infowars.com in an article where we're exposing Fast and Furious as a false flag. I guess that's crazy, too, even though it's admitted. And CBS News got the documents where they said they were going to blame it on the Second Amendment. And then it goes into more of it. I'm going to cover more of this later. Then you got Medved, I understand why Medved works for the dark side, because it's of his nature. He loves it. I mean, it's like a golem-like creature. We'll be right back. Well, the system's trying to get the Ken doll carbon tax abortion lover in so he can be a ringer for Obama Hillary. Insiders are telling Time Magazine that's the ticket. The placeholder, Biden stepping aside. Lord Hillary, the butcher of Waco, the butcher of Oklahoma City, getting ready to step in. Get ready for an Obama-Clinton ticket. And, of course, the entire mainstream media for a day and a half was saying, where's Hillary, where's Obama? When they didn't know if she was going to step down on the ticket 4 years ago. And I was right there. They drove by the Secret Service aiming machine guns at us. They were inside. And I called the media, and they said, we don't report what we're not told to report because we're a bunch of scum. So there you go. That's their job, folks. You got to really get it. It's not a bias. It's a military enemy propaganda arm there to keep you in the dark, there to spin, there to twist. Now the Obama administration is secretly preparing options for aiding Syrian opposition. That's already going on. Again, we've got reports where the union leader publisher says Ron Paul is truly dangerous. We've got Krauthammer, who's an embarrassing person, coming out and talking about embarrassing candidates. Ron Paul is embarrassing them. He's against all the corporate welfare. He actually doesn't want to be, he wants to keep the Constitution, not have military on the streets. Oh, well, but like the New York Times and others say, it's kooky that Ron Paul's worried about troops on the streets, even as they set up checkpoints all over the country. Local newspapers are reporting, oh, there's military checkpoints. Oh, drones are tracking citizens now in North Dakota. Oh, but it's still kooky. It is, and I don't think I can be explained by anything that the president has done in a positive way. Syndicated columnist Crowdhammer. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Oh, wonderful. Hey, Governor Ventura, I appreciate you calling in. I know we talked yesterday, and you said you'd pop in for 10 minutes. Good to talk to you.
Oh, always good to talk to you, Alex. How's it going?
It's going great. We're about to go to break and come back, and I appreciate you giving us 10 minutes when I twisted your arm yesterday. I know you weren't sure when you could call in, but I wanted to get into Ron Paul with you since we were talking about him yesterday on the phone.
Well, why don't you go to break like you're supposed to and come back and we'll talk Ron Paul.
That's awesome. We got a few minutes right now.
Sure.
Let's go ahead and kick the ball off right now. Wow, the system is in panic mode over him.
Oh, absolutely, and I'll tell you why. He is the only candidate out there, including President Obama, who naturally is going to represent the Democrats, of course, and all of these Republican candidates. He is the only candidate that is anti-war. And this country better wake up to the fact that Alex, I'm 60 years old now, and we have been at war for over half of my life.
And they act like it's bizarre.
Bizarre behavior. Newt Gingrich says he's out of mainstream. This guy's out of touch. Well, if he is, then we are a country of war. But I don't believe so. I believe there's an underlying unrest in this country right now, that we're tired of war, we're sick of it, and I guarantee you pretty much, if any of these other guys get elected, you're going to see a war with Iran.
Oh, you're right. And I want you to repeat all this, recap it, and expand on it. This is about the heart and soul of America. Another preemptive war, lying and saying another country has nukes. It's a total replay of what we saw with Iraq. And Ron Paul is just talking total common sense, and they're acting like that's bizarre, kind of like somebody, I guess, in 1939, if you criticize Hitler.
I can't believe, I watched the debates, and it was interesting a couple weeks ago where he got into a battle with Michelle Bachmann, and Ron Paul made a great statement. He said, imagine where would we be today had John F. Kennedy not talked to Nikita Khrushchev during the Cuban Missile Crisis. By the way, that was when Ron Paul was serving in the Navy. And had those two not spoken during that crisis and worked things out, talking, the earth would not exist today.
Let's start over right there, Governor. We've only got him for 10 minutes on the other side. We really appreciate him joining us today. Surprise guest. Hi, folks. This is Alex Jones. All right, joining us for one segment is Governor Jesse Ventura. He's getting ready to go down to Mexico, so he's in a hurry. But I was talking to him privately yesterday about what's happening in the world, trying to find out if he's going to be running for Libertarian. And he just wanted to talk about Ron Paul. So he's here to talk about Ron Paul in this one segment. And then Dr. Doug Rokke joins us, former Minnesota governor, host of the hit TV show on True TV, conspiracy theory, best-selling author. Jesse Ventura joins us for one segment. Governor, we have both parties, hundreds of publications, New York Times, CBS Nightly News, all attacking Ron Paul and saying he's nuts because he doesn't want to attack more countries with made-up WMD stories. They're openly have gotten rid of Posse Comitatus and are announcing secret arrest of citizens with the NDAA. They're in the news saying it's insane that he doesn't want troops on the streets. All of this is happening, and it's like the Twilight Zone. Ron Paul is just a mainline, old-fashioned American, and then we've got the crazies telling us that we're crazy because we don't support total tyranny. Governor, give us your breakdown on this.
Well, it's as simple as this, I think. If people truly are looking for an attempt at change in this country, changing who we are and what we will be in the future, then there is only one candidate, and that is Congressman Ron Paul. He's the only candidate that wants to audit the Federal Reserve. You notice that the other candidates won't even talk about the Federal Reserve. He's the only candidate that wants to talk rather than wage war. So I think this will truly be an agenda for the United States of America, a an agenda to determine what we stand for. Do we stand for being the most aggressive, warmongering country in the world, who's all set to now to go to war with Iran too? Or are we going to be a country that stands for peace? You know, let's remember the last president that wanted peace and was attempting to get it. There would have been no Vietnam. The Cold War would have been ended by 65, was President John F. Kennedy. And there has not been a president in this country since Kennedy who has truly strived for peace. But Ron Paul is that candidate. And I think about it for a minute. I'm 60 years old now. I was born in 1951. And this country has been at war for life. Over 30 years of those 60 years, we've been at war. And if you look at the other candidates, Ron Paul served in the Navy during the Cuban Missile. But you look at the other candidates, did any of them ever serve? Did any of them ever put their butts on the line? Did they ever go in the military? I don't think so. You know, I don't know for sure, but I'd love to see the military backgrounds of Gingrich and of the guy from Massachusetts, Romney, and right on down the line with all of them. And the point of the matter is, they call Ron Paul's foreign policy scary. I call our foreign policy scary, what it's on right now, because all we do is go to war, one after another, and I'm one of the people, being a veteran, who says, stop it. That's enough of this.
Well, polls show that upwards of 70% of Americans are against all of this. The troops give more money to Ron Paul than all of the Republican candidates combined and Obama combined. And the media spins it and says, Ron Paul disgraces the troops. The troops don't like Ron Paul. It's all a hoax. And more, the so-called mainstream media is being exposed as a bunch of political prostitutes who are losing all their readers and viewers.
Well, it's the truth. I mean, if you look at how they avoid talking about Dr. Paul, he can be leading in the polls and they don't do in-depth stories on him. Nothing like that. The media is in the back pocket of the status quo. And I can't emphasize more. If people in this country want a revolution, and a revolution doesn't have to be violent, but if they want a revolution, if they want a change in direction, truly, of where this country's headed, then Ron Paul is the only choice out there right now. Out of the current candidates in the Republican and Democratic field, he is the only one. He's the only one that says we ought to talk before we shoot. Talk first, shoot second. We seem to be living, if you don't do it our way, well, then our way will be we will wage war on you. I mean, look what they're doing in this little strip of ocean over there. Iran's threatening to block it off, and the U.S. has already threatened if Iran does that, we're going to go to war with them, basically.
And look what's happening. Iran, who imports 50+% of its gasoline, they don't have the refineries, it's been announced they're going to shut that off to them, devastating them. And they say, okay, if you shut us off, we'll shut off our territorial waters. So yesterday, they sent a U.S. aircraft carrier through the giant Iranian drill as a provocation. And the Pentagon has said, if you block it, we will attack you. But the West, as Ron Paul has said, is already putting these sanctions on and blockades. You're a Navy guy, and Ron Paul's pointed it out. That is an act of war right